Welcome to Expats Everywhere. If you could tell us your name, where you're from, and a little about your background.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm from Colorado in the United States, and I lived in Spain for 3.5 years as an English teacher. Currently, I live in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so you have experience teaching in both Saudi Arabia and Spain, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, so what's it like working in Spain?
Working in Spain is fine if you're an English teacher. That is, for an expat, one of the few jobs in my experience that are easy to find. You're not going to make a ton of money in Spain, but the lifestyle is nice. So I would say working is okay, but not working is great.
Okay, so to the best of your knowledge, what kind of jobs are available in Spain for expats?
I would say that English teaching jobs are readily available in most large cities. Other than that, perhaps jobs. I can't really think of anything actually other than English teaching. The economy in Spain right now is not great. It hasn't been for the past few years. So if you're looking for any sort of job where you will be competing with Spanish nationals, it'll be very difficult for you, especially if you are not an EU citizen.
Okay, so you're not an EU citizen. So how did you get a job there? What was that like?
I'm not an EU citizen. I think a lot of non-EU foreigners think that it's impossible to work in Europe if you don't have an EU passport.
Right.
It's not the case. There are plenty of people working in Europe who are from outside the EU. However, legally, the European Union says that you really can only be considered for a job if there is nobody else in Spain or the European Union who can perform that job. So if you're trying to work in a restaurant, you have to, your employer or potential employer has to justify that this position cannot be filled by a Spaniard.
Okay.
This is, of course, difficult for you. As far as English teaching, though, employers can justify this more easily, saying, well, this is a native English speaker. Spanish people are not, for the most part, native English speakers.
Right, okay. Could you tell us what a typical day at work looked like for you?
A typical day at work as an English teacher really would depend on where you are teaching. I think there are generally two categories of English teachers. One would be a teacher that has a full-time position in a school, in a public school, I should specify. And the other type would be a teacher that works in language institutes and private academies. If you have a full-time job, then you might expect to work a 9-to-5 type schedule, though I think most foreign teachers don't fall into this category. If you are teaching private lessons or working at a language school, most likely you will be teaching 1 or 2 hour blocks that are spread out throughout the day.
Okay.
Not uncommon to be working 5 or 6 hours spread out among 10 or 12 hours.
What was your situation like? Were you working as a teacher in a public school, or were you doing one of these institutes or academies?
I was working primarily in private language schools.
Okay.
I also taught private lessons. Private lessons generally are paid under the table, so you don't have to worry about any legal problems being hired. Yeah.
Okay, so do you know maybe what the going rate is right now for a teacher that's working at an academy, working at a public school, and then also doing the jobs under the table privately?
As of a year ago, the going rates differ city to city, region to region. If you are talking about one of the large cities, Madrid or Barcelona, or perhaps cities in the north, Bilbao, you can expect between 15 and 20 euros an hour. If you were working in a smaller city, or you were in the south, or some region that isn't quite so prosperous right now, you can expect a lot less. You can expect 8 to 10 euros an hour.
Okay, so where were you specifically in Spain?
I was living in a city called Vitoria, which is an hour from Bilbao. Though I lived in these two cities are in the Basque Country, which is also one of the few regions in Spain that's doing relatively well right now economically.
There's more industry in that area, or
exactly more industry. Yes, I'd say so. Madrid and Barcelona and the Basque Country are the regions that are probably doing the best right now.
Okay, so how much did you earn per month when you were there?
I typically earned between 1,000 and 1,200 euros a month.
All right, and would you say that this is enough money to live on, and what kind of lifestyle did you live?
Yes, it's enough to live on. There are people who live on a lot less these days. I don't think you're going to be saving a lot of money, especially if you're going out a lot or you're spending a lot of money, which is easy to do in Spain. It's very easy to spend money with your friends after work, going out for tapas or having a drink or two.
Okay. Were you able to save it all, and if so, how much were you able to save per month?
It's possible to save. I personally didn't save anything. If you were making, you can live comfortably with 1,000 euros a month. So anything over that, well, in most regions, if you're living somewhere where the cost of living is less, then you can. If you're making 1,000, great. You probably won't be, but you can save more.
Okay. How much did you need to start up there? What would you recommend, like the startup cushion, be for someone that's moving to Spain?
Startup. I think you can move to Spain with relatively little. I did. I think I probably moved to Spain with $1,000 US.
Wow. Okay.
However, this all depends on you finding work. I should specify with finding work, not just anybody can travel to Spain and get a job. You need to have a visa that allows you to work. Unless you're teaching completely under the table, which is difficult to do.
Okay.
Language schools will ask for working papers. However, there are two primary ways which Americans or non-EU residents or citizens can get work permission. One is by being a student, having a student visa, which legally, the last time I checked, allows you to work 20 hours a week, which teaching is a lot of hours.
Right. But
legally that classifies as part-time, so to support your studies. The other way is with a program called the Auxiliar program. This is a program run by the Spanish government that reaches out to Anglophone countries to recruit teaching assistants for language schools, for language classes in the public schools.
Okay, are these mostly American teachers that you know of?
The majority that I've met have been American.
Okay.
This program, I believe, pays teachers 700, 800 euros a month to work part-time in these public schools, but it also leaves them a lot of time to get outside work.
Okay, good. So we're excited. We're ready to move to Spain. We're packing our bags. What do we need to pack? What's the weather like?
The weather, that would depend. That would depend on the season.
Okay.
Depend if it's winter or summer. In the south, the weather in the winter is lovely, and in the summer is very hot.
Okay.
Temperatures in the inland Andalusia can easily go over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. In the north, weather's very different. In the north, the winters are very rainy, pretty cold. Doesn't drop below freezing too often. And then the summers are very nice. In the center, Madrid, you can expect it to be cold in the winter and hot in the summer.
Okay, great. So is there anything special that someone should pack to travel to Spain, or would you just say travel for all 4 seasons, be ready for all 4 seasons?
I would say depends on the region you're going to. If you're going to the north, definitely bring an umbrella for sure. If you're going to the south, don't worry about the umbrella. As far as clothing, clothing in Europe is generally a bit more expensive, so I would not go with nothing, thinking that you're gonna buy a bunch of clothes very cheap. But then again, everything there is available. So if you're worried about not being able to find t-shirts, you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, so is there anything that someone should bring from their home country to Spain, or can you find pretty much everything there, like you said?
Pretty much everything you can find. Maybe some food items that are difficult to get or expensive. For example, I know for Americans, peanut butter, for instance, costs a lot. Costs like $7 a jar or something.
Okay.
Also, for me, I had a very hard time finding dental floss. Good dental. They have dental floss, but good dental floss. The kind that doesn't rip apart in your teeth.
All right, well, so that's small enough. So you heard it here. Pack your dental floss, folks. All right, so let's move on to something a little different. Is it safe there? Did you feel safe in Victoria and in Spain in general?
In general, yes. I felt very safe in Spain. It's certainly not a dangerous country. You have to be careful, of course, in any country, not to be stupid. Most crimes are crimes of opportunity. However, during daylight hours, I've never had any problems. I've never felt in danger. Also at night, most cities, the culture is somewhat nocturnal.
Yeah.
So there's lots of people out at night, which in general helps. I think keeps you safer and makes you feel safer. There's always several people on every street. And in small towns, I think small towns in Spain very much are close communities, and I don't think you'll run into any problems.
All right, that's awesome. How did you meet people, and what did you do for fun?
Meeting people, I think this also varies by region. Spanish have the reputation of being very outgoing, and this is true in most regions. I think in Madrid and throughout the south, the people don't worry about looking for people; they will find you. Especially if you were a foreigner, I think people will be attracted by curiosity.
Okay.
In the north, people are a bit more reserved, and I think people usually meet people through friends of friends. So as a foreigner, it's maybe difficult at first if you have 0 friends, though I think by playing sports or through work, you'll meet those first contacts. I think it's very, very similar to the situation in North America.
Okay, and what can you do for fun?
Well, in Spain, you can do anything for fun. You can. The question is, can you afford it? Typically, if you live by the coast, there's the beach. In the north, there's mountains, so there's hiking, skiing. If you live close to the Pyrenees, let's see, sports are very popular. Soccer, of course, and basketball is more and more popular. Also, social life, socializing outside on the streets is the way of life in Spain. So going out for tapas in the south or pinchos in the north, having a glass of wine on the street with your friends. This is how the Spanish people pass their time.
Okay. Do you think that Spain is a good travel hub? Why or why not?
I would say Spain is for Europe a moderately good travel hub. In general, travel throughout Europe is easy, getting cheaper as well. They have bargain airlines now, Ryanair, EasyJet. it's very easy to find cheap tickets. From Spain, from Madrid or Barcelona, it's easy to travel to Paris or perhaps Frankfurt or Berlin. Let's see, the large major cities in Western Europe, it's easy. If you're in the south, it's very easy to travel to Morocco. There's a 45-minute boat ride.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not as easy, say, as London or Paris, where you can get flights that go absolutely everywhere. A lot of times, if you want to go to, maybe perhaps smaller European destinations, you'll have to transfer in London or Paris. Traveling by train is also possible, especially domestically. The train is relatively expensive. There's also fairly comprehensive bus network. I think most people travel by, in my opinion, most people travel by bus.
Okay. So to wrap up, could you tell us what some of the pros and cons of living there are?
Very briefly, the pro is lifestyle. Spain is a lovely place to live. People are wonderful. The food is great. The weather generally is great. If you move to Spain, you will not be miserable. The con would be working. In order to support your lifestyle, you probably have to work. And given the economic situation in Spain right now, one, it can be difficult to find a job if you're not an English teacher, or if you're not in one of those two situations to get working permission. Also, it can be, there's lots of competition for work, and jobs don't pay all that well. So generally, I think if you ask most people, they're not ecstatic about their jobs, but they have a good time after work.
Okay, Jonathan, we really appreciate you meeting with us. Best of luck in the future, and hope to hear from you again.
Yeah, no problem.